of the pyramid of Teotihuacan. He was fascinated by the mystery, which means that pyramid predated his culture by many thousands of years. Here's the core essence, and I can give you dates, and we can talk about the exact dates of when things are going on. For example, in June of 2004, there was a Venus transit across the sun, which re-empowered the feminine, re-empowered the mother, re-empowered the empowerment of the female. Unfortunately, out of that we get Hillary Clinton and Nancy Pelosi, but at the same time, for every Hillary Clinton, there's got to be an homage, in my opinion. There has to be an Earth Mother essence that practices unconditional motherly love.
Betty Bender.
We have another one, Betty Bender, I might add. Unconditional motherly love, which she's going to punish us all pretty soon. There's another harmonic convergence. Let me just roll some dates out here. There's another harmonic convergence coming in May 27th, 28th, 29th of 2010. We have an opportunity, seeing the wonders that happened in 1987, to all get together in 2010, our last chance to link up as a global community, as a new sphere, to use the technologies of the internet and cell phones and computers and whatever else to link us all together. My idea, because this is Los Angeles and we are the throat chakra, and by the way, we are not just the city of the angels. This city was actually named after a 15th century painting called the Thessalon, and the name of the city actually is Our Mother Mary, the ascended, coronated queen of the angels. And what they did is they just shortened it to the angels. And you will notice that St. Monica was sacred to Mary, St. Peter or San Pedro. You're surrounded, the communication chakra of the entire planet, the throat, which is downtown Los Angeles. It's at the gazebo on Alvera Street. It's got a little fence around it. They put a little scene of the nativity on it right there. That's the throat chakra. And it's surrounded by the St. Gabriel Mountains. And of course, was the angel of communication, the angel of annunciation. And so this essence of what's going on, the throat chakra, means that everything you think and see here, you have the ability to communicate on a global level. That's why we have TV. That's why we have radio. That's why, and I say to the people of Los Angeles, it's up to you. It's your responsibility. And you know what they say? They say, why me? And I say, because you're on television, stupid. Because you make movies, dummy. Because you can tell stories that can change the world across the planet. And instead, the movie, it's 100 years old and it still thinks it's 12. I mean, instead of getting movies like, The Secret, for example, around the world, we get, Black Christmas 5 or something, or, just horror movie after horror movie after horror movie. So the challenge of all this is the core synthesis. 2010 is the next harmonic convergence. I can talk all about 2012. In May of 2012, there's going to be a massive solar eclipse over the western United States, specifically over Los Angeles, and there's going to be an eclipse that's going to be centered in May of 2012. We'll have an eclipse that will center over Chichen Itza, over the Great Pyramid, that will align for the first time in 27,000 years the Pleiades, the Sun, and the moon directly over Chichen Itza in May of 2012. And then we have the alignment of 27 degrees Sagittarius when the sun aligns with the center of the solar system in December 21st, 22nd, 23rd of 2012, when the sun is going to be going through the most massive solar cycle ever in our history, called Cycle 24. Cycle 23 barely ended. Cycle 24 is what's next. So in conclusion of this, the core synthesis of what the Mayans want us to know in these last 7 days of their calendar leading up to the 2011 to 2012 time frame were this. All is one. Life has purpose. God is love. Now that seems easy, but what they want you to know is that those three simple phrases, if you can put them on bumper stickers or t-shirts or whatever else, all is one means that there is between you and I, that we are all simply fingers on the hands of God. Hopefully not the middle finger, but we're all fingers on the hands of God. And that diversity means that our enemies are in fact ourselves. And can we do something about the war in Iran? Can we do something about, Iraq? Can we do something about George Bush being just dog nuts crazy? No. But we can do something about us. And we can do something about what we do to make ourselves better. You know who should be speaking at this, by the way? Let me just give him some props. We have probably one of the greatest spiritual masters that has walked the planet for a while. You know what his name is? Pete Carroll. You know who Pete Carroll is? Pete Carroll, the head coach of the USC Trojans. You know why? Because I go to lunches on Monday with Pete Carroll. You know what Pete Carroll says? Pete Carroll says, it's not about them, it's about us. It's about what we do. What can we do to be the best we can be? It's not about UCLA, it's not about Arizona, it's not about Cal. He says, you know why we lost this game? We lost this game because we can't be the best that we can be. We don't worry about anybody else. We do what we do because time something happens, we think, what do we do to create that circumstance? How do we take responsibility for that? How do we raise the bar so that we can be the best that we've ever been? Now, he's taken spiritual philosophy. Here's a guy who's been to the Esalen Institute. Here's a guy who took EST. Here's a guy who literally is a metaphysical master, if you will, who's put together one of the best football programs in the nation as an aspect of spirituality becoming physical. And the only reason I say that is because when all is one and there's no difference between you and I, and we are all extra expressions of the creator, of the love force, then that brings the entire planet together. That life has purpose is particularly unique. You know why? Because that means no matter who's done you wrong, who's done you dirt, no matter how many rotten licks, low tricks, dirty tricks that you've taken throughout your life, no matter who's done you lousy, you can't blame anybody else because you're exactly in the place you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, for the reason you're supposed to be there. Do you get me? Do you feel me? Can I get an amen?
Amen!
And the last one, of course, is God is love. And why is that important? It every day, but that means that the prima mobile, the first thought of the universe, is for your best well-being. The first thought of the universe means for you as a growing, evolving soul to be able to expand, to be able to be conscious, to be able to become gods yourselves. And of course the word God, generator, operator, destroyer. And G-O-D means that you can generate, operate, and destroy every circumstance, every feeling, everything that's going on in your own life. It's not about anybody else. We've got to start in Los Angeles. Talk about the me generation and Los Angeles being, we got big egos. Yeah, you know why? Because it's about us. And it's about what we can do to be the best we can be, to raise the bar better than anybody that can ever do it. Because people look to us for fashion. They look to us for movies. Look to us for radio. We are the center of communication. And the better we communicate our goals and where we think the future is going, then the better place the world is going to be. Give me an amen. Thank you.
Way to go.
Thank you for your sermon. Thank you, Sean.
Praise the Lord. Oh, there you go.
Our last speaker on the panel has a wonderful ability not only to present information about astronomy, mathematics, geometry, and many other events connected with 2012 and our history, but also has the ability to integrate information from everybody who has spoken before him as is relevant to what he's going to present. And it's one of the many reasons that our final speaker on this panel, who is the author of Monuments of Mars, if you haven't read it, you should, founder, principal investigator of the Enterprise mission, former science advisor to CBS News and Walter Cronkite, and science advisor to Coast AM Radio. And if you don't know who he is by now, you have a wonderful treat in store. He is Richard C. Hoagland.
Yay!
Thank you, Betty. Thank you so much. You know, there's a real God who makes you come last on a panel like this. I think it's God. How do I follow Sean and Nick and Daniel and Dana? So I'm going to keep it very brief.
You'll handle it.
With a little help from my friends, who I know are not shy. What you've heard in the last hour or so is really important because I have only one difference with Daniel, who was putting the change in the future. And I know this is not a surprise to him, but the change is upon us. How many of you were here last year? How many were at this thing last year? All right.
Most of you.
Good, excellent. Don't you feel a change in this entire society? Don't you mark it as last November? I mean, we are immersed in almost C.P. Snow's two cultures, except it isn't the literature folks and the science folks in two separate boats in separate directions as he pictured it. It's the so-called mainstream culture, the reality which we live every day, where we have to pay our rent and all that other interesting stuff, and then the life of the mind and the life of the heart that those of us at this expo live and lead, which has to do with the more interesting and obviously far more important aspects of reality, which is